Good morning. Sure glad to get a few minutes together today. And of course, we just had a great weekend. And I was thinking back to last weekend, rainy on Easter. I don't think we've ever had an Easter where it rained on Easter Day before. If you weren't here, the football field was flooded, and I don't know, 4,000 Easter eggs maybe scattered on the inside of the building. People were tripping over the eggs. They were everywhere. No kid had a problem getting 30, 40 eggs or 50 eggs or whatever because some of the bus riders, because the weather didn't come. And if you're not from California, you don't understand. It doesn't rain here, hardly ever. This winter's been pretty wet. Last winter was, but it's not normal. But anyway, great weekend. And then this weekend, a beautiful sunny weekend, chilly. But we're going to get over that, and it's going to be hot. And we're going to be complaining about it being too hot. And so we don't want to get that way. But I want to be in 2 Kings, or 1 Kings in just a second here. 1 Kings chapter 22. And we'll just look at a couple of quick thoughts. I'd like to mention, if you haven't thought about it, next weekend we're emphasizing our Filipino department. And have a special day. And we've got Tagalog tracts printed. And hope you'll pray that we'll reach people, that just reaching people. A special day will reach special people. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, we're honoring our Spanish department, pushing for a big day in the Spanish. And we've got a Men's Day, and we've got a Mother's Day. And we're working at reaching people. That's what the church is all about. And I'm grateful to God for his mercies and help. Today I want to mention one of the great principles of Christian living is unity, is people just working together. Marriage, ball teams, doesn't matter. And on working together under a good leader. And leadership is so vital. Why would when Phil Jackson was brought back out of retirement after coaching the Chicago Bulls to, I think, 3 championship teams in a row, he was retired, and then the Lakers brought him back. Why'd they bring him back? Because the coach makes a difference. You get the right leader, then you get the right team working under that leader. And that's a very difficult thing to stop. And in 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 17, I'll just show you a verse. And he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master, let them return every man to his house in peace. That phrase, the sheep scattered, they have no master, they have no leader. And in this situation, the prophet was just saying, when the king dies, everybody's going to scatter. And that the good leader, not always good, morally good, but a strong leader is the one that unifies these people. Over in Zechariah chapter 13 gives us a prophetic statement about Jesus. And Zechariah 13:7, and it says, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn mine hand upon the little ones. Of course, Jesus then quoted that in Matthew chapter 9, or a little later. But this thing of leadership, and now Satan, he wants to smite the shepherd. Satan wants to break down that good quality leader. And whether it be an army, whether it be a ball team, whether it be a good home or a good church or a good business, the right person at the helm matters. It just bothers me no end that people would fuss that the CEO or the founder or the whoever it might be, the person in charge, maybe a departmental leader, or maybe it's a manager, would get a bunch of pay and the common employee not get very much. Well, let that common employee start a business and let them take that business from nothing to success. And then let them say, we all ought to get the same paycheck. It's like the guy selling popcorn in the football stadium during a ball game. He's not going to get the same amount of money the quarterback, because that quarterback can do some things that popcorn salesman can't do, or hot dog salesman can't do. And so, yes, you pay those for their unusual skills. And leadership in business is no easy task. To be able to handle people and conflicts and pressures and taxes and bookkeepers and audits and all these things, it'll kill you. and they deserve better paychecks. But the principle, smiting the shepherd, over in Matthew chapter 9. I'll read you the next similar passage, Matthew 9:36. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Now, Satan will do anything in his power to divide the people from the leader. If he can smite the shepherd enough to have people turn away, then he's happy with it. You know, during the French Revolution, and I'm not saying we need to follow the bozos in Washington, D.C. all the time, because they're a big mess, a farce, hypocrisy. But the fact is, somebody needs to lead. Somebody needs to guide the troops. And back during the French Revolution, I started to mention the common people. There was an elite and there was the poor, and that's the goal of most politicians. They want to be the elite and they want everybody else poor. That's why our government has no problem bringing in countless immigrants who have no regard for the Constitution, no regard for our Bill of Rights, no regard for the Declaration of Independence. They don't have regard for the Judeo-Christian ethics that our nation was founded upon. And they're not worried. That's why I believe that the educational system is dumbing down our education. Because if we can get the people dumber and dumber and get them used to more and more poverty, and we can get the elite richer and richer, and we can eliminate that in between, then we've got the Robin Hood days. You've got some rich people ruling over the peasants. Well, they tried that during the French Revolution. The peasants got tired of it, and they got, as it was called in the book, The Scarlet Pimpernel, Madame Guillotine. And anybody who's related to the aristocracy, they killed them, chopped off the heads. Children, teenagers, men, women, grandpas and grandmas. If you were an aristocrat or related to an aristocrat, you were going to die. But now that didn't go real well, because now you had a bunch of power-hungry poor people trying to run a country, and it didn't go well. And smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. In the church, the devil will seek to divide, either philosophically or financially or whatever way, anything he can do to smite the shepherd, to hurt the shepherd in the eyes of the people. And so many times, see, when people, sheep are not real smart. And you always, when you have a flock of sheep, you always have a sheepdog, not always, but most of the time, and a shepherd, sometimes multiple sheepdogs. Why? Because you got to keep that flock together. They're vulnerable to wolves and coyotes and dogs and whatever. And they keep moving them because they don't know how to graze. Cows, they'll wander the hills. You don't have to follow cows. They'll wander the hills and eat plenty. But sheep don't know how to find water, and sheep don't know how to graze. They'll eat the grass down to nothing and ruin the soil, and they'll just make a mess of things. And so you need sheepdogs and shepherds to protect and to guide. And well, that's the terminology God uses of the pastor, and that's why when Satan will use something to separate the pastor from the family, and the family goes off and gets out of church, rarely does Satan offer a better, stronger church. I don't know that there's been people, maybe there has, I'm sure there has, but people who left a good church to go to a stronger, better church. Maybe it's happened some, but I think majority of the time, the devil sows some seed of discord, and the people leave, but they don't go to a better church. They wander church to church, and they never do get a pastor again. We go to that church some, and we go to that church some, and then sometimes we just read our Bibles at home. Yeah, that's probably not happening either. And Satan doesn't care where you go when you leave that good, strong church with a good, solid pastor. He just wants you to go. He wants the sheep to be scattered and put this one here and this one here. The critics of God's work are never concerned about getting the people of God into another good church. They're concerned about scattering. And if they can smite the shepherd, the sheep will be scattered. Over in Mark chapter 14, in verse 27, this same phrase is used over and over in the Bible. Mark 14, verse 27. And again, this is Jesus talking about himself, is what I mentioned earlier. And Jesus said unto them, I'm in Mark 14:27, all ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. And of course, Peter said, oh, I'll never forsake you. And the others said the same thing, but they did. They all forsook him because the Bible said they were going to forsake him. And he was perfect. He was a perfect leader. And yet, when he was stricken, when he was smitten, the sheep scattered. And it's such a tragedy. And I never wanted anyone to come between me and my parents. I never wanted anyone to come between me and my parents, me and my boss, me and my pastor. I've had basically two pastors, but I've had some Christian leaders I've chosen as my leaders, men that I looked up to, men that I would get advice from over the years. But my two pastors, you're not going to come between me and them. You're not going to criticize them around me. You're not going to criticize my parents around me. Yes, my parents were human in flesh, and the pastors were human in flesh, and all that. You're not going to go criticizing America around me. Now, there's some individuals in the swamp you can criticize. I'll let you get away with that. But you know what? We need someone to pilot the ship, whether it be a church or a family, a business or a country. And it's a sad thing that we allow people to split and to divide us. Think about this. Someone divides you from your church, from your pastor, and now the money that you were given to the cause of Christ, you're probably not given anymore. So that's ministries that are not getting some financial provision. But not only that, it's the rewards you would get. It's your money is not being used for the things of God. Now it's being used for secular things. Many a Sunday school teacher has, for whatever reason, ended up split away and sheep being scattered. And now they're not teaching. Their teaching abilities are not being used. But not only that, there's somebody who's not being taught. There's a rest home not being run, and rest home service. There are people not in the rest home singing, and children that would be singing to the elderly, or people that they're not in the jail that could have been in the jail sharing the gospel. And so the devil loves to smite the shepherd, and then the sheep get scattered. And now the sheep are not investing in the eternal things as much as they were before. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. See, Satan doesn't care as long as he can get you separated from that unifying thing of a good church, a good family. Don't let trouble split you and your family. Stay close to your family. And I know there's some broken plays that are a big mess, and it does get that way. But it ought to be fought against. Strive to stay close to your family and your spouse and your parents and your children. Labor to keep that family close, and labor to guard your relationship to your boss and your pastor and spiritual leaders and I even coaches. If the boy or girl's going to be on the ball team, then they ought to stand behind their coach, because unity gets things done, and God always unifies under somebody. And let's just be very guarded. Don't let people smite your shepherd. If we work in a business where the owner or the manager, don't let other people criticize them. That's just going to scatter and divide the energies that could all be put together to accomplish something good and right. And so I hope you'll be very guarded. That passage is used, that phrase is used many times in the scripture. And it reminds us, parents, mom should not criticize dad in front of the kids, and the kids should never hear dad criticize mom. And maybe mom and dad need to go in the back room, and they're gonna differ on some things. But let's don't bring our children into a conversation where we're being critical of the absent spouse, and because you smite the shepherd, you smite that mom or that dad in leadership. The kids are going to be scattered. Who are they going to trust now? They're going to find some knucklehead out in the world to trust. And I'm thankful that even though my parents split up, I don't know that I ever heard criticism from my mom or my dad of each other after a divorce. I think they were encouraged us to love the other, love both of our parents, and it's so very important that we guard that thing. But in the church, it's vital that we keep a good, strong leader. In business, it's that way. In government, it's that way. And I hope that we'll be very careful. Let's don't let the devil smite the shepherd and the sheep get scattered. Let's stay on track and stay busy getting something done for God and for eternity.